This experience required that I have more than one wife. And so I come into this, Mary and I get married, and I get married again to Janelle, and I get married again to Christine. And I look back, and because I was so anxious to be living the principle of plural marriage, that I was not vetting who I was marrying to be compatible with. The blame lays on one thing and one thing only. If you're going to marry, and you're going to marry for eternity, you should start out in love.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, June 26, 2024. Yesterday, I was off camera for one video and I had a comment about, why are you never on camera? And I thought, geez, one day without my face? Y'all, like one day? Anyways, I'm convinced the people leaving these comments are just trolling me at this point because I'm back on camera, y'all. Something I was thinking about was a video I did yesterday. We were talking about Robyn Brown's daughters and the hair bows and the dresses. A lot of you in the comments were like, this is so FLDS, looks very fundamentalist Mormon. Some of you said this looks very Mormon to me. A lot of you had theories about what they were doing. I can't speculate on what they were filming. I can only say they were at a restaurant, walking outside, wearing clothing. It is highly unlikely they were at church because they don't go to church. It's highly unlikely they were at a wedding because they were filming. It's highly unlikely they were at any event other than to film, because when they're filming, they're working. And unless the wedding, unless the church is a part of the show, they wouldn't be dressed up. They're dressed up for the cameras. What they were filming, I don't know. What we talked about was a hair bow, which some of you all in the comments were all, that's so Cottage Core, Katie. Don't you watch Bridgerton on Netflix? And apparently some girls in their 20s are all about being like modest, and they want to go back to a time when women were simple and obedient and submissive. And so bows are all about Cottage Core. Now, here's the thing. I don't doubt that that's a trend, and I don't doubt that some girls are wearing these hair bows, but that's not why I believe she's wearing a hair bow. It's also not why I believe those girls are dressed the way that they're dressed. Robyn's intentionally doing this to her daughters. She's intentionally making them look a certain way. They're filming a show, which means Robyn and Cody have a say about what they're going to look like on the show because they have an image to portray. And it was clear she wanted all of her girls to look the exact same, which was weird because she was dressed like her 9-year-old sister. I don't think there's anything wrong with what they were wearing per se. It just, when you look at it, the view of FLDS and how the FLDS girls look, they all wear the same colors. They all wear the same type of style of dress. They all have their hair in braids or with bows. They all look very similar, which the conformity of it all is what breeds the cult mentality, and it strips the individualization from the human. We talked about infantilization, which is basically a parent placing a child that's an adult in the position of not allowing them to grow up. And we discussed the reasons why Robyn may be infantilizing her kids. I think the bow isn't Cottage Core as much as it's a way for Robyn to try to help Aurora appear younger. Even if bows are the rage for Cottage Core, which I highly doubt Aurora knows anything about, because if you were to look at Aurora's Pinterest, she's very clueless about the modern world. She's very sheltered. I don't think she's watching the shows you think she is. I don't think she's communicating with the people you think she is. I don't think she even is aware of half the things that are happening in this world because her mom has made her feel so paranoid about everything. So another thing I noticed in that video was not just that the older daughters were dressed a certain way, but also that there was a lack of a child, a male son named David, who on the show is called Dayton. It's kind of like how Garrison went by Robert in the real world, but on the show they call him Garrison. In the real world, Dayton does not use the name Dayton, he goes by David. In the real world, he is not being treated very well by the family, and it's because he doesn't want to comply with the rules of Kody and Robyn, and he doesn't want to be on the show. And when you are a filming family, which I think you should read Jill Duggar's book, Counting the Cost, when you learn about what it takes to be a filming family, and when one person doesn't want to film, how they can be treated by the rest of the family and cast out, you'll understand kind of where David might be at this point. But I also wanted to talk with you about why his experience is very different than the way that they've treated Garrison. And they both had the same problems with lockdown and COVID. So let's dive into this topic. I was over on my Instagram and I got this DM and someone said, hey, Kody was spotted in Kody, Wyoming. To which I had to Google to see where this could have come from. It came from the Sister Wives Reddit. I honestly don't love to use the Sister Wives Reddit as a source because in general, the sub hates me. But the commenter had this really strange anecdote about Kody ordering popcorn. So apparently they're at a movie and Kody is so big time that while he's ordering the popcorn, he's telling them exactly how much popcorn that he wants in the bag. And it can only be filled up to a certain level. And he wants to make sure that it's not above that level because he has to make sure that while he's walking, he doesn't spill any of the popcorn. I mean, I can understand like when you're in a movie theater, they definitely will overfill those popcorn things, but it's just a very strange request. They said it was oddly specific and he was a little bit arrogant about it. Another comment that they made was that everyone in the area has stories about Kody because he grew up less than like 30 miles from Kody, Wyoming. And the consensus was from his high school that everyone thought Kody liked other men, not women. And I just have to remind myself, this is Wyoming. He was in high school in the early 1980s. And to be honest, back then, any man that didn't fit a stereotypical mold, meaning they weren't overtly masculine, they didn't do things specifically a certain way. And if they had any interests out of gender specific hobbies, like if a guy liked drama and wanted to be an actor or wanted to sing, they were automatically labeled gay. So I don't take a lot of stock in what they say just because Kody was into drama and he cared about his wardrobe. But that was sort of the takeaways from the Reddit. So they are traveling in Wyoming. And I wondered if this was going to be the event that McKelty was talking about, how they were going to have a shindig in Wyoming and they were going to do this all together to celebrate Garrison. But then I noticed that nobody else is up there. Janelle just got back to Arizona and Christine is still in Utah and none of the kids have traveled to Wyoming. So apparently they're just in Wyoming and they go there every summer. So maybe they're just up there visiting his mom and his brothers. I don't know. Kody, Wyoming isn't a huge town. He's from an even smaller town. And apparently he and Robyn went to a movie in Kody, Wyoming, and he went outside to check his email. To which a funny comment that was left on the Reddit was that Kody was using the Wi-Fi outside to check in with the producer of the show and plan his next jaunt into finding new sister wives. Now, everyone insists that Kody is done with polygamy, and I just don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. A man this arrogant and this narcissistic and this ego-driven will never be satisfied with a mere Robyn, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so we know that Kody and Robyn are with, I think, their kids. They're up in Wyoming. So something I was thinking about was while they were all out on the sidewalk, Dayton wasn't in the photographs or in the videos. So he wasn't filming. He's not filming. He rarely films ever at all. He doesn't really want to be on the show. And they're allowing him to do that. Kody and Robyn have a lot more space to fill on the show now, and they can't rely on the other wives to work and do the work, heavy lifting for them. They have to film their own scenes. They have to use their own children. They can't rely on everyone else and everyone else's drama now that nobody is talking to them. And so maybe this will be the first time we start to actually see drama in the relationship of Kody and Robyn. That would be like the only silver lining to me, is that because everyone else is removed and Kody isn't communicating with anyone else and nobody else is filming with him, that maybe, just maybe, we're going to start to see some dysfunction in the relationship between Kody and Robyn, which proves to us that Kody is who Kody is regardless of what the woman is that he's with. Just my 2 cents. Something that I'm thinking about is, though, because Dayton isn't filming and his story is very protective, which is good and I guess good and bad. He very well could be getting protected because he has autism. But that hasn't really stopped them from protecting Gwendolyn, who also has autism. I think they just don't care who It all comes down to like who they want to protect and who the favored child is. So I'm bringing this up because Dayton has been absent from the show, and a source of contention in the show that hasn't been mentioned is that Dayton did not agree with Kody when it came to the COVID rules, nor did Garrison. In fact, Dayton actually agreed with Garrison and Gabriel about the COVID rules. He wasn't interested in how strict Kody was. He was in college. He had a life. He was doing all the things. He, like the other kids, didn't have the ability to just sit home and be in a bubble. And so he resisted Kody's rules. As many of you know, Kody and Robyn responded by kicking him out of the house and buying a trailer, like an RV, and sticking him in an RV outside of the house. The RV is super not equipped, apparently, to deal with the winters there. Not an ideal living situation, but he made do. They never bring that up on the show. They never bring up the fights that Dayton and him were having about it. In fact, they protected Dayton at the detriment of Janelle and her kids. Why? Because Robyn allowed Kody to kick her kids out. That's the difference. Janelle refused to let her kids be abused by Kody and be taken advantage of and exploited and hurt. And Robyn agreed and let Kody kick out Dayton. Any parent that does this to any child, whether they're autistic or not, is a terrible parent. But to do this with someone that has autism, and Dayton is someone that has needed help throughout his life, and even though he has level 1 autism, which was formerly called Asperger's syndrome, he still has needed help throughout his life. He's needed guidance. He has needed help. And to place him in a trailer on the property in an RV and then never discuss that on the show also shows that they're willing to hide things that they're doing to a vulnerable adult on the show. They're willing to hide this because they would get so much backlash for doing this to Dayton. So much backlash. They're placing a vulnerable adult in an RV that's not equipped to be a permanent living structure. Neighbors have said that it doesn't look like it has the proper like electricity, or it doesn't have like sewage, plumbing, all of that. So you're like putting a kid just in a trailer that's not insulated in winters, and they live in the mountains, and it's just disgusting. But they don't talk about it on the show because Robyn didn't fight Kody, and Robyn let Kody kick him out. She placed her relationship with Kody over the safety and well-being of her child with autism. As a result of her kicking him out, she saved Dayton from getting berated and degraded on the show. So she sacrificed her son to save herself from getting abused by Kody. She sacrificed his safety, his well-being, and his autonomy and his right to say no to an adult father and still live in the home as with his parents, because she didn't want to get the backlash. She didn't want Kody to be targeting her too. The only reason Janelle was given what she was given by Kody is because she wouldn't kick the boys out. So you saw what happened when the boys weren't kicked out. Kody bullied them, he degraded them, he made them a storyline, he talked negatively about them, he called them narcissists, he picked fights for 2 years about it, and it was obvious that through these fights they weren't seeing each other because they kept fighting about the same crap that was happening for years. And then when it came to Dayton, he got kicked out, nobody talks about it, he's never on the show, and then everyone wonders what happened to Dayton. Oh, he's just living in an RV. And then today, you're like, where's Dayton? Oh, he's not on the show. So where is he? His address is still listed as their home in Flagstaff. And despite what you see on the show and how they were looking for a 7-bedroom home, they never found a 7-bedroom home. So they have 5 bedrooms. One of those bedrooms is Kody and Robyn's, and then they have 5 kids, meaning there's not one of the kids, 2 of the kids are sharing bedrooms, if not more. They don't have any spare rooms, and most of the bedrooms are downstairs in the basement. So it's not as big as you would think it is. The house is mostly like the upstairs living area. It looks large on the show, but it's not, I don't know, it's just not as big as you would think it is. It's more of like a vacation home because it's mostly occupied by bedrooms, but there's not that many bedrooms. But they kicked him out of a bedroom. And it just makes me wonder, like, where is he now? Is he still in the RV? His address is still listed with his parents. He's 24 years old. His last job on LinkedIn was being Robyn's personal assistant. He has no current occupation listed. He graduated last year, and he's like now completely invisible. I'm not just worried for Aurora, but I'm also worried for Dayton, who is a vulnerable adult, who has autism, who needs services, who might be getting services, who Kody and Robyn might be taking welfare from. They could be getting Social Security for him and like using it themselves. Polygamists are known to do that. Keeping him dependent at home would qualify him for that. And generally, once someone turns 18, when they have autism, they can qualify for Social Security. So there's a whole like concern here. And then he could have caseworkers, social services. He could have adult protection services issues. No one in this video, watching this video, should go report anything to APS. Don't. What I'm saying is that they're covering this up. They're covering up what they're doing to Dayton. And Robyn allowed Kody to do this to Dayton. She allowed him to kick him out so that she could stay the favored wife, so that she didn't have to deal with his anger. And then now Kody's only with her kids. And I don't know if you watched that video, but it didn't seem like any of those kids wanted to be close to Kody, which again makes me wonder what's going on in that house, what kind of anger is happening in the house, what kind of abuse is happening in the house, and where's Dayton? They made an example of Garrison and Gabe, and then now Dayton is just, he doesn't exist. He's like he's gone. Where did he go? He's at the house, right? But he's been sacrificed so Robyn can still have the life that she wants. And that's why I think Robyn is a horrible mother. But what do I know? So what are your thoughts? Make sure to leave some comments. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click on the bell so you never miss a video. Bye guys.